Hi.
Hi, Dallas.
Yes,
How
it's
are you?
Dallas. I'm good.
Yes.
How are you?
Good.
Thank you so much for seeing me on such short notice.
Sure. And what can we talk about today?
Okay, I want to talk about my frustration within my career where I am right now. And I know that seems like so silly for somebody to come in here to just talk about like their career, right? It seems like, well, what's the point of that? But it's something that's been weighing really heavy on me. I was the first in my family to go to college, and so for me, going to college was like a big deal, and for my family, it was. There's a lot of expectations behind that. I don't think from family as much as from me of where I should be in my life, and I just don't feel like I'm there. I graduated with my bachelor's, and then I started teaching, and so I was teaching for a few years, and I was just like, this isn't really where I want to be, so I started going to school to get my master's to do administrative, like being a principal or assistant principal, so like leadership in the school. I did like half a year of that and I dropped the program. And so now I have debt to pay for that I didn't finish. And so I just kind of feel lost. Like I'm 32 years old. I don't really know if where I am going is where I'm supposed to be going. And so I'm at a job where I'm not really happy. I stopped teaching, thinking that I needed to go into something else, but I'm not happy. I feel like I don't have a purpose there. Like I just don't feel connected to it. And that's really important for me to feel a connection to what I'm doing because I'm a very passionate person.
Yes.
And so I just feel like blah.
And explain blah.
Good question. I don't feel motivated to go to work. I usually feel when I go to work, I'm like ready to go. And when I was a teacher, I was involved and I did things and I was involved in after school activities and I planned stuff for the kids. And before that, I worked doing events. And so that's how I got through college. And so that was fun getting to doing that too. That was exciting. And now I'm just like a paperwork person. I do paperwork for a company and it's like, what is this? This is not life. This is not what it should be.
Oh, so paperwork is not life.
No, it's like I don't feel like I'm really making a difference or really doing anything that matters. And it's a good company. They do help people, but I don't feel like I'm the one directly helping people. And it just doesn't feel like I don't know, I just don't feel that draw to it. Right. So I thought, well, maybe I should go back to teaching while I finish my master's because I went back to school. So I guess I'm just like, how am I not where I need to be already? Like,
and what matters to you? You said you want to matter. What does that look like?
I'm going to impact people's life directly.
What does that look like?
It can look like something as simple as like having a conversation with someone that enlightens them and brings them to a point where they're like, oh, okay, I can do better for myself or I can make better choices. And so when I was teaching, it was easy for me to have those feelings constantly because you're dealing with, I worked at a middle school. And so I was working with children who were 11 to 13 years of age who are easily influenced and moldable. And so I had an opportunity to kind of like intervene before they were too tarnished with the world and society.
Right.
And I could see that, I would get little notes from the kids for random or just because, thank you for listening, thank you for being understanding. And I knew that I was making that difference for them. And even long term, 4 or 5 years, kids come back, they visit you, or they send you an email, and you've made an impact in this person's life, and that's important to me.
Well, what I'm hearing you saying is that your life as a teacher was impactful. You enjoyed it. But at the beginning, when you came in, you said, coming in here for therapy or talking about career is silly. You use that word silly. How explain that silly compared to you working with children who you can influence getting little notes to say, Miss, you're making a difference in my life. Tell me, how does that connect?
I guess because when I think like therapy, like I don't want to like waste your time or you be here with me talking about my dissatisfaction in my career when there's somebody with like more traumatic things going on or real deeper issues that you could be helping. And so I feel like it's silly to talk about like my career as an issue when there are so many other pressing issues in the world besides my career and how unhappy I feel where I am.
It sounds to me that you make a difference where you go. So to me, hearing you say silly doesn't fit who you've been and what you've done and the impact that you've made so far. So I think that you're in here for a real good reason. I don't think of it as silly.
Well, thank you.
You said something about you. Did you say you had to please your family? You're the only one that's graduated from college?
Yes, I'm the first to graduate in my family from college.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's been, you know, I want to say like, even my older brother has ended up looking up to me, even as his little sister. And so not letting them down is important too.
Okay.
So making sure that what I'm doing is not just impactful and I'm happy with what I'm doing. I want to make sure I'm in a job that I'm happy. I don't want to wake up and go to work and feel, oh, here I go again, another day at work. And I also want my family to feel proud of me. And I want them to be able to admire what I'm doing.
I hear you talking a lot about what you expect, but you also talk about your family, what they expect from you, and you don't want to let them down. Why? What is it? Why would you let them down? What does that mean?
We've had a lot of hardship in our family. And so I think me finishing school was one of the first good things that started happening for our family as a whole. Mm-hmm. It was like a turn, like it was like a turn in the routine that the generations before me had kind of had. Single moms, divorced, not educated, struggling all their life. And so I was the first one to kind of break out of that in my family. And so there's a lot of eyes on me.
A lot of eyes on you. What does that mean? So what does that say? What are those eyes saying to you?
Don't let us down.
Don't let us down. So, okay. So let's go over what you said. You're in a job that you don't care for because of the paperwork. And you left a job that you loved with the children. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you are also torn between what your family thinks. Does your family approve of the job you have now?
Yeah, everybody is okay with what I'm doing now. Nobody really knows what I'm doing. They don't really understand it. I'm making better money at the job that I am now, which is another factor that I didn't really mention, but I'm making more money now than I was making when I was teaching. Mm-hmm. So that's frustrating too, because I know that financially this was a good decision for me and for my family because I have to support my daughter and I've recently gotten married, and so there's a lot of other things that I have to consider besides, are you happy going to work? And so it's silly for me to be worried about if I'm happy going to work when financially this is a better move for me. And so I'm making better money than I am teaching. And so my family thinks, oh, that's great, you're progressing in your career, blah, blah. Yes, it's really great.
It's funny, I hear you say a lot about your family, what your family thinks about where you're heading and what you're achieving. But I want to know what Dallas wants. What do you want to see? I know you say you want to be somebody who matters, but tell me, what does that look like? Not the Dallas family, not the money to support your daughter or your family. I want to hear what you see. What is it that you want to do?
I would love to work with students, ideally middle school age, maybe a little bit younger, in a setting that allows me to have open and honest conversations with them, whether that be teaching like life skills or teaching like psychology or sociology, or teaching like a leadership course where it talks about like loving yourself. Also with the ability to help counsel them or like advise them or guide them through that stage that they're going through. That would be amazing. But that job probably wouldn't pay.
And so what's really important? What does really Dallas want, or the income that can care for your family?
I think at this point it's the income that can support my family, because I'm not at a place where I can afford to, you know, I have to work. I have to bring an income home in order to pay the bills in the house. And so I don't really have the luxury to just be like, oh, let me do this. Like I know I have to work. I know that I have to provide for her. And I do want to have a certain lifestyle as well. And so I'm aware of that. I want to be able to have a good car, live in a decent area, take a family vacation once a year, go out to eat every once in a while. And so being able to afford that type of lifestyle is going to require me to.
So there are advantages of this job.
There are.
Good advantages.
Yes. The benefits are great. You still are impacting people. It's the population of people isn't the, you know, I'm working with women who are pregnant. I'm not, you know, really connected to that population. I find it difficult to connect with them.
What is that?
Working with them, I think to myself, what if they would have had somebody influence them at 13 or 14? Maybe they wouldn't be in the situations they are now. And so as I work with them, all I'm thinking is who's around them? Like, do people talk to them? Did they have a source? Did they have any guidance? Did they have support when they were younger? Because I really feel like it's such a crucial thing to have at that age.
And your job description does not allow you to do any of those things?
Yes, but they're adults. It's women who are pregnant. And so yeah, I do some of that, but with that age group.
So do you think that you could apply some of those things that you would have told a younger person as an adult today?
Yeah, I haven't even, to be honest, I didn't even really think about that. I guess I wouldn't want them to feel like I'm trying to be like an authoritative figure to them or something like that. Like with students, it's easier because you're the teacher and they're the student. The roles are clearly identified. When you're working with pregnant moms, they're your age or older. They're just there to get some help from you and that's it. They're not really looking for more. They're not as accepting as students are. It's a different thing.
And have you spoken to them to sort of feel them out, to see if that's something that they'll not accept or be in tune with?
Yeah, I've spoken to some of the moms.
Okay.
Just even the interaction with them is very short. You know, the interaction with them might be an hour. The paperwork that follows is like 2 hours.
So it's the paperwork that bothers you the most?
Tons of paperwork, signing stuff, and more paperwork and more paperwork. It's like the interaction is this compared to the amount of stuff that you have to do after. And so the level of influence just feels like, are you really doing anything? I don't know. And then you don't see them again. Like that's kind of it.
Oh, I see. Okay, so some one-time interaction.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So you're at a job that you want to have some impact. You want to make a difference. But most of it is more paperwork that does not allow you to do that, right? And also you talk about letting others down. You don't want to let others down. And we talked about this job is crucial for a different lifestyle that you'd like to give to your family. And it has its advantages as well as sort of a disadvantage. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. All right. Well, as we go through our sessions for the next couple of weeks, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit more about that, maybe about the job, maybe what you can do or implement to make you, since you're already setting it, to see where we can go from there.
Okay.
All right, so this ends, we have to wrap up our session today, and this is the end of it. So I'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you so much. I really
Okay.
appreciate your help.